This is Telltale Guys, Episode 9, Caribbean Folklore.
What's your ETA? We'll be there in 2 minutes. Come on, we have lives to save here.
All right, back again. It's Telltale Guys. I'm Josh, and with me I have Zane. Zane, how you doing this week?
Doing well. I'm excited that the work week is kind of closing. Looking forward to this weekend. I'm actually going to the Lake Lanier area in Georgia to visit some family up there. So that's going to be good. So going to get some sun this weekend. How about you? How is it? Yeah, I gotta keep up this bronzing going on right now.
Totally.
How's your week going? Do you have any plans this weekend?
This weekend, not too much. Probably just work on some art stuff. Last week, I finished up a wood burning. I did a cutting board as a housewarming gift. It was of Snoopy, so that was fun. Yeah, that was fun. But that's cool. You're going up to Lake Lanier this week. It's a fun lake. Some people call it the Caribbean of Georgia.
Some people do call that, I think, the Caribbean of Georgia.
It's really just me. When my wife asks to go on trips to the Caribbean, I'm just like, why not the Caribbean of Georgia? Go to Lake Lanier.
It's a little bit more trashy up there. So,
well,
yeah. Well, that kind of segues nicely into the topic I wanted to go over. So just a few weeks ago, I went on a cruise with the family, had a really good time, and that kind of gave me some ideas. What would be a good topic for this week? And I was like, what could I do? Like ghost ships or something like that. But I was like, we just did one on ghosts, basically, in the White House. But then I thought, well, the Caribbean, there's a lot of interesting folklore, kind of some spooky stuff. We got voodoo, blah, blah, blah. But it's all over in that whole kind of region and, various different islands and countries and all that. And so I thought that'd be a good topic to tackle.
Sounds good. Which islands did you go to on your trip?
Oh, yeah. So went to St. Thomas, which is what is it called? It's not a U.S. territory.
A protectorate?
Something like that. There's this particular abbreviation I'm thinking of. But we also went to, speaking of territory, we went to Puerto Rico, which I believe is a U.S. territory. So that was really fun. St. Thomas was just a nice little drive through the whole, kind of like crossing from south to north the island. And then we went to a whole bay area and hung out on the beach. And then Puerto Rico, we just kind of walked around the town close to port, which was kind of touristy, but it was still really nice. So it was a good time.
Are the stories today from those specific regions, or just kind of all over the place?
Kind of all over the place. Not those islands particularly. We're going to go into Jamaica, Trinidad, the Dominican Republic.
Oh, my homeland.
Oh, yeah, right. I was about to ask. So you were born there, but then you were raised in the United States. So basically.
Correct. Yeah, I was imported like a fine wine. That's what I always say.
You're aging like a fine wine too.
Oh, thank you. I'm 74.
Yeah. It's that non-aging skin you have.
Yeah, it's my because I don't go out in the sun that much, so I think that has something to do with it. But also, I guess the genes. But
yeah, that's cool. It's a good, interesting background story. Those are always fun. But let's get into some background in the Caribbean. So I always try to find something for each episode that either you're talking about or I am. But this is a nice little Cuba Vare shirt I found that I wore during my trip. Nice linen, very comfortable. I recommend anyone to get these type of shirts.
It looks like it would go nicely with a coconut rum drink.
That would be delicious. I miss those. I had several on my trip. But yeah, let's talk about this. So spooky Caribbean folklore. So, as maybe you can guess, there are a lot of similar kind of spooky stories talking about zombies, vampire spirits that are kind of similar to what we have in more so our Western culture. But like I said, we're going to take a little dive into areas around Jamaica, Trinidad, the Dominican Republic, Dominica, which is different than the Dominican Republic. It's like, I think, a southwestern country, kind of the bottom of the Caribbean, Haiti, and Guyana. Hope I said that right. There will be a couple things that I might not say right. So let's go into it. Got a couple little visuals I wanted to show you guys as we go into this. And what did I? Oh, here it is.
Oh
All
my God. Oh, jump scare.
Jump. This is the spooky Heartman, which we will go into a bit, but I just kind of want to set the stage. Not everything is creepy, voodoo-ish, not the stereotype, but we got some kind of odd little things. But first thing we're going to talk about is the Duppy. So this is kind of spooky, but you'll hear
the Duffy. What did you say?
Sorry, Duppy. Duppy.
Okay.
And you'll hear stories of Duppies and a lot of different Jamaican homes, definitely part of their folklore and their background. Stories of Duppies originated in Africa and was later brought to the islands. Not sure the whole time frame, but I think a while back. And Duppy's existence stem from the Bantu religion. And this has a very heavy focus on worshiping ancestors, which is kind of giving me vibes back to our solstice festivals episode,
yes.
where different regions, different religions, blah blah blah. A lot of them have traditions where they have a heavy focus on their ancestors being, coming back from the dead for whatever reason. And so Duppies, they can be a common ghost, a spirit, departed loved one. So they don't have to be spooky like this, but I found this and I kind of liked it. And they usually appear to you if you're in need of advice, cheering up, or obviously like a good scare like that. So yeah, these are Duppies. And
they look like did you find that they all kind of have this look, or they take the form of your ancestors, or they are your ancestors?
Yeah, they take various forms, and we're actually going to talk about one particular form, which is kind of going into the scary version of Duppy. But yeah, they can look just like your dearly departed grandfather, or they can be like spooky like this guy, or they can look like one version of a Duppy that's called a rolling calf. So the rolling calf myth revolves around a specific evil Duppy who terrifies and tortures people and sometimes kills them with fiery breath and fiery things coming out of its eyes or its horns. And so the whole origin of this creepy Duppy originated during the 1800s. Caribbean folklore became popular because of these type of versions of Duppies or these type of stories. But basically, this is like a half man, half cow creature. Often depicted as a sinister bull that we're seeing here. Sometimes it has blood red eyes and wears a thick chain around its neck. And you'll know possibly that a rolling calf is coming when you hear ominous rattle, just thunderous footsteps, and these type of things, that would instill panic in me. This just looks like just some crazy demon, not just your late grandfather who passed away in his sleep. I don't know. This is
unless your grandfather was a minotaur, maybe, and then yes.
Yeah.
So this thing has like two sets of horns and like jaw fang things coming out of its chin and a chain around its neck and fire eyes.
Yeah, just think of the most terrifying version of a bull that you can possibly imagine.
Okay. Did you do this art?
I did not do this art. This is something you could do. No, I found this.
Okay.
It's something I could probably do, but maybe I got to do this, get back into it for coming up for the October drawing. Inktober and all that.
Inktober, yeah.
which you like to do.
Yeah, I
Um,
haven't done it past couple. That's just such a slog,
sure.
But yeah, yeah. This would be cool to draw. Maybe I'll give it a go.
Yeah. Um, and so to kind of give you an idea for, this kind of cryptid creature or spirit, is that the rolling calf is supposed to be the spirit of someone who was dishonest, evil, wicked during their life on earth. And, or, sometimes it's a lost soul who is seeking out evil people among the living and punishing them for their wrongdoings. Um,
Okay.
I would,
It kind of reminds me of like the Wendigo stories that people turn into
oh, yeah,
that. And
right,
then this is like, okay, so I guess to kind of wrap my heads around these stories, that duppy is kind of like a generic term for like spirits and ghosts and demons, I guess.
sure.
And anything of that kind of realm can take various forms.
Mhm.
And the rolling, what was it, rolling calf?
Rolling calf.
Okay. Did they say why it's called a rolling calf? Like, does it like it
I didn't
rolls?
get that, but I just
Okay.
imagine it's just, I don't think it rolls, but it's just like,
Like a rolling thunder sound, I guess, when it's running,
yeah,
maybe.
that's what I'm getting from it. It's just like rolling, straight at you. And um, oh, actually, man, that kind of reminds me of one thing. It's not in the Caribbean, but it was in Hawaii. I had one of those weird dream. What's it called when you're dreaming and you might be paralyzed in place?
Sleep paralysis.
Sleep paralysis. I think it happened to me, but I had this when I was in this state. I don't remember being paralyzed, but I remember like from what I could describe, like a bull, like just force coming at me. And it was like terrifying. I woke up like screaming and I scared the crap out of like my friends who I was staying with on the main
Oh,
island of Hawaii. So I don't know if this
a
was the
duppy
rolling
was
cat.
over there.
Yeah, this is all the way over in a different part of the world. But
Yeah.
I remember, just talking about this and like they're rolling and just some force coming at you reminded me of that crazy, scary dream. I think it's because in this house we were staying at, we had all the windows were open. It was so windy. It was just a new area. So my brain was probably just like, what is going on? And I had a crazy
Uh,
dream. Anyways, so I don't know if that was a duppy experience, but it reminded me of one.
okay, sure. Who am I to
Um,
say?
right. Let's see. The myth of rolling calves, they go into that there are ways to escape an attack from a rolling calf. I wish I could have known this if I got attacked
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
So you can throw various objects on the ground as it is compelled to count objects. And this, as I go into this, duppies and other spirits in the Caribbean region, for whatever reason, you can kind of like stop them in their tracks if you throw some various objects and they have to count them and you can
Okay.
escape. It's
Yeah.
just some interesting kryptonite they have. So we'll
I
kind
think
of,
I've heard like that with some like house elf type of creatures too. Like you can thwart them by similar, like they count things. I wonder if there's a common thread there with them.
where are elves kind of located? What
You
region?
like Europe, Scandinavian areas.
Okay.
Yeah, many places have different elf type creatures. So it's not
Mhm.
just Europe and Scandinavia, but predominantly for American culture, they're familiar with those types.
Okay. Well, that's just a reoccurring thing in my love that we
Yeah,
have all these various tales that are kind of similar around the world. But
yeah,
yeah, it's just,
it
especially if
counts.
you were having this gigantic demon beast coming after you and you're like, oh, here are 3 sticks. Screw you.
I wonder how long it would take it to count. Like, do you need like a handful of rice or something and throw it on the ground, or is it like 3 sticks adequate enough to get you enough distance? Like it counts very slowly. I mean, I don't know.
I think it's a good idea. You throw a whole bag of rice, it's going to count all the different
Yeah.
kernels of rice, kernels.
That's why I
Um,
always travel with a bag of rice in my pocket everywhere I go. It's a good
that's
tip.
smart. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
just in case.
That's why you got your cargo pockets on the
Cargo
cargo
pockets,
ship.
yeah. You never
That's what you
know when
need.
you run into a rolling calf or a wedding that you need to throw some rice at.
So always got to be prepared.
Yeah.
Um, see other methods to kind of like stall, specifically a rolling calf duppy, is you'll make the sign of the cross, or threaten it with a whip. So you can like kind of get aggressive with him,
Okay.
and try to stop him that way. I think I would rather throw the bag of 1,000 grain rice and let him deal with that, and then run away.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, kind of challenging it with the whip. I mean, he's got chains, fireball eyes, and lots of horns. I don't know how confident I am with the whip, nor will they fit in my cargo pockets. So,
Yeah,
yeah, probably stick with the rice.
yeah.
But you
I
said the
agree.
sign of the cross, like the Catholicism thing. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, I think good amount, in Caribbean just history.
sure.
Catholicism is all over the place. So I think that's a good result, or a good resort.
Yeah.
Let's
Which
see,
island was this? You said
Jamaica.
Jamaica. Okay.
Yeah, I think like duppies that is particular to Jamaica.
Or
And
maybe throw some like eggs on the ground, or the cool running style.
what did they do in Cool Runnings with eggs?
Well, one had an egg. I think he put it in his pants. It was his lucky egg.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually watching a John Candy movie, the Airplanes, Trains, and Automobiles,
Okay. Planes,
and
trains, and automobiles.
thank you.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I was just thinking about Cool Runnings and how good that movie was.
Yeah. Classy. You got to watch Cool Runnings.
Yeah. But yeah, little known scene in there, a scene that was cut in Cool Runnings, is they had a rolling calf chasing after the bobsled
Oh,
team, just so
that
they
would get him
can
motivated.
get him motivated. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I can see why they would cut that out. That would be
Yeah.
terrifying in a kid's Disney movie from the 90s.
Right. So with the rolling calf, and that's basically kind of how you stop them. But we do have, possibly an eyewitness account, or just kind of a background story from a local in Jamaica. So
Okay.
let's gear this up.
This should be fun. A Jamaican first-hand account.
Tell me about your experience with rolling calf.
Rolling cap, sometimes there is a little something like dog,
Uh-huh.
and but sometimes they go big
Uh-huh.
and get big.
Uh-huh.
And if you feel like a dog going and you go and trouble the dog, him rush you and take you away. Carry in the bush.
In the bush.
Carry in the bush, back in the bush.
Uh-huh.
Because him have them coming, you hear the chain,
Uh-huh.
the rattle, chain rattling.
Uh-huh.
And when the chain rattling, now you have to run, go hide,
Uh-huh.
because you can't trouble them. If you trouble them, then can't take you away. And then don't find you till when you finish out, then we search out the bush,
Uh-huh.
feed you on rotten wood and
Really?
ripe banana.
And then
Yes,
what?
and then after you turn to
So let me ask you, this is real, Miss Bowen. Or
Yes.
just you have you seen rolling calf yourself?
yes,
Where?
at where I was living in, coming through the road, going in the bush.
Where is that? Which community is that?
In Mawo Drive, we call that place.
And this is where? In which community?
In Hopetown,
In which parish?
St. James.
St. James. And you've seen and experienced that yourself.
Yes.
And I don't know if you want to tell my viewers probably your age, so they probably have an idea of what we're talking about.
My age, I born 1942.
Uh-huh. Okay, so you're
I'm 79 years old now.
so you're almost 80 now. So
Yes.
what you're saying to me is not make up story.
No, it's not make up
It's real
story.
something you
It's
thought.
real something.
You have
Them
seen
small like a dog.
Huh.
And if you go and you're going to say anything and trouble them, them start to grow.
And get big.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
And when them get big now,
That's when they take you away.
that's the time they take you away.
Okay. Little hard to hear.
Oh yes. I was gonna say whoever was responsible for captioning that did not do their job well at all.
Well, it could be argued that person was probably a little in over their head trying to especially with the mask and all that. So,
Sure, yeah. So it sounded like she was saying, I don't know what the bush thing was. Was like Jamaican bush? Like, is that a slang for the smoking?
no, I don't. It almost sounded like to me because I watched it a few times. That maybe the rolling calf pops out of the bushes. I don't know.
Okay.
That's what I got from it.
Now she said the thing was it could be really small, like a small dog,
Right.
or get very big, like a bull, I guess.
Right.
So anywhere, I feel a small dog wouldn't be that hard to defeat with either kicking it or with a whip, or she said something, a banana. You could use a banana.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's like one of the objects you can throw, and they have to count it. So
Okay,
I
well,
was trying here, but it was kind of hard. But
it's a little difficult.
um,
But that was fun, the first-hand account of
Yeah.
somebody who supposedly saw one of these things. You gotta wonder though, like, if you were in a neighborhood in Jamaica and you're walking around the bush, was she saying they were looking for a kid or something, a child? Because she kept saying a child, and then you get your child back or something.
yeah, like I mean, it's going like into all these different folklore stories, all these kind of mystical creatures. Like sometimes they come after your children, especially if the children have been naughty. And so a lot of these stories are told just to kind of like instill like a little bit of, parenting fear in your kid. Like,
Okay, like the
don't act,
boogeyman.
don't act up, or the rolling calf is going to take you away into the bush. So
But
that's
this
what I
sounded like she saw one. So
right.
I don't know. That would be terrifying though. A little dog-sized bull, I guess. Maybe. Would you rather fight off like 25 small dog-size rolling calves, or one like giant one that's the size of an actual bull?
I don't fighting like 20. I mean, that'd be a lot to try to like do it once. So I almost feel like I would want to like fight one and hopefully I could dodge it because it's too big. But I don't think either way is going to go over well for me.
No. Well, I guess you could take the 20 small ones and throw them at the bigger one, and then it'd have to count them all. Maybe.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
And then you get rid of them all at once. So
yeah, they take care of themselves.
we could survive this type of duppy. It sounds like we have a good game plan.
Yeah. Always have a game plan and a backup.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to go on to our next Caribbean urban legend.
Okay.
This is a little creepy here. So we have here the Sokiant. I could be saying that wrong, but this is a pretty popular Caribbean urban legend, and sometimes is referred to as Ole Hige. Ole Hige. I guess it's like old, like Ole Hige.
Like hag?
Yeah, there we go. So this is native to Dominica, St. Lucia, Haiti, and Trinidad. So she's all over.
Okay.
And this creature takes on the form of, at first, like an unassuming elderly lady or woman in daylight, but shape shifts into this fireball demon that we're seeing right here.
Oh.
After the sun goes down. And so she sheds her skin at night, turns into a fiery skeleton, and kind of like similar to a vampire, like she attacks her victims and sucks out their blood. And here we go, Josh. You are already ahead of the game.
Okay.
She can be allegedly stopped by throwing rice or sand, or salt, because she's compelled to count the individual grains. So you're way ahead of the game here.
Okay,
so,
all right.
Yeah.
Another common thread, though. That's interesting.
Yeah. So that's the smart way to do it. So get a 1 pound bag of rice, and this Sokiant, she will be sucky at trying to catch you. So
she's kind of like Ghost Rider, in the comic books. It's just like a flaming skeleton at night, and then also tries to suck your blood.
Yeah, like a vampire.
Okay. While she's on fire, or I guess like you would burn up if she was trying to suck your blood, wouldn't she? Or
well, let's see. So basically, the Succulent or old Hige will die if she consumes too much or kills her victim. So basically, she's gonna just kind of to torture you a bit. But if she does it this way, if she kills a victim, kind of like a vampire, that victim will turn into a new succulent. So I guess it doesn't have to be just a woman that is this type of creature.
Okay.
And they'll
So
have
very
to
similar to vampires then that we're used to. Yeah.
Yep, they'll have to live out the rest of their days as a blood-sucking creature of the night. You can kind of get an idea of if this creature is around if you see a black and blue circular mark that is, been like imprinted on you. So kind of you think of like, what is it, like that pirate mark or whatever. You're a curse if you have this mark that's on you. So that person has been visited by the succulent.
So that means you're going to turn into one, or you were just visited by one.
It doesn't say exactly if you're going to be turned into one, but
okay,
you've been visited and possibly cursed.
Okay, so they leave like a spiritual or a spirit hickey on you, kind of.
Yes, yeah,
okay.
Yes. She comes in, gives you a nice little kiss on the neck, and she claims you.
Spirit Hickey.
Yeah,
that'd be a good band name, I think. Spirit Hickey.
I think you would have to be kind of like a punk rockish band for that.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily metal, because hickey sounds kind of not too metal, but like it's not too bad. Let's see. And while the legend of the succulent has faded in some islands, Haiti and Trinidad, they still find this creature to be around. Some even believe the shedded skin of one is a valuable asset for voodoo and other black magic. So kind of creepy.
So they leave their skin laying around. I guess if you find like a shriveled up human skin type of thing, you use it in your voodoo magic. That'd be a weird thing to find, stumble across. Although, the thing with accounting though is interesting. Like these creatures, I think like were the first ones like just bitter accountants or something. Like the very first one was like an accountant. They got like some kind of spell put on them, and they turn into this creature, and they're just compelled to count because they're accountants, and that's what they like to do.
Who knows? Maybe these people just don't like math, and they turn into these creatures.
And that's their punishment. They have to count.
Yeah, maybe these people, when they were alive, they hated math, they didn't like to count, and then they were bad in life, and now they're punished to have to count, and they're just miserable little wraiths or something like that.
That would be a good parental scare tactic. Is like, do good on your math homework, or else you'll turn into a succulent. No, that's a plant.
It's not a succulent.
No, that's a plant.
Close though. Succulent.
Succulent. Okay.
Succulent.
Okay.
Right. But now we're gonna go into hi.
Runs a succulent.
Yeah. Opposite of succulent. Beautiful baby girl and wife. So my wife is taking Cecilia out to see her grandpa for a bit.
That's nice.
Nice little break from this fire demon. So that's
sure.
good.
Yeah.
Well, now we're going to go into a little bit more popular segment of Haitian folklore. We're going to talk about zombies. Everyone likes a good old zombie. Here's a drawing of a Haitian zombie.
Okay. A little different than the Americanized version for the movies, I'd say.
Yeah. And we're going to go into another little interview video segment that it kind of goes into an idea of how these zombies are created, possibly in real life.
Okay.
So which is interesting, that we will check out. And so sources estimate up to 80% of the population in Haiti practices voodoo in some sort of way. I mean, it could be just like a nice little reflective practice, like, some people, I'm trying to think of something you do every day, which is not exactly a religious custom, but it's just something you do. Anyways.
Like make breakfast.
Make breakfast. Maybe we can cut this. Maybe we can cut that segment out.
Okay.
I kind of like lost my train of thought there. But so since it, which is weird, I think what stumbled me is that up to 80% of the population in Haiti practices voodoo. That seems like a lot of people, but I guess it's just ingrained in the culture.
It's very prevalent. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, a big part of kind of the voodoo culture in Haiti is the idea that Haitian zombies do exist. And they're a little different than kind of the zombies we think in Western culture. The first mention of Haitian zombies was in the early 1600s, so a while back. And it mirrored the belief of enslaved Africans that death would bring them back to a heaven-like afterlife in Africa where they'd be free. But if you took suicide or if you committed suicide, you were forced to live on the plantations forever, condemned to become soulless zombies that could be brought back by voodoo priests. So kind of like stems into the slave trade era a little bit, but that'd be interesting. So it's like another like thing where, hey, we're going to scare you into, live your life good way. Don't kill yourself because you're not going to go, back to a heaven-like state that is similar to Africa. You're going to come back as a zombie on the plantation. And that does sound kind of terrible.
It's almost like a purgatory-ish, but worse.
Yeah.
You're not in hell, but just kind of doing work all day.
Yeah, I mean this zombie guy right here. He doesn't look like he's having a good time.
No, employee of the month, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe he looks like he needs a good 8 hours of sleep. That's what he looks like.
Yeah, at least, yeah. I actually, I went when I was in the Marines. I went to boot camp. I had a guy in my platoon that was from Haiti, and he would talk about it a little bit. But like for him, like he didn't really like discussing voodoo. I think that's a big like first rule of voodoo club: don't talk about voodoo club type of thing.
It's like a taboo.
Yeah, I mean, kind of, but I think it was more so to do with like you have to like kind of respect it and like from a fearful place. Like if you were talk about it in a certain way, then it's like not good for your being. But anyways, he would talk about it a little bit. He told us this one story how they would try to make it rain, I guess, in Haiti by like sacrificing chickens and stuff like that, and then doing a corresponding dance with it, like a specific dance. So, and then we all kind of like, prodded him a little bit to do like, show us this voodoo dance, what this voodoo dance is. And he did it. He did like a little bit of the voodoo dance, not the whole thing, but he was kind of reluctant to do it, but he did it anyways.
Sure.
Showed us, and it was crazy looking, for, all us youngins in the boot camp. It was just like, you're not exposed to it, but it looked there's a lot of very jerking movements and like really exaggerated type. I'm trying to think of what it would remind me of. I can't quite remember, but anyway, so he did that. It didn't rain though. I mean, he didn't do the whole thing. Didn't have a chicken in boot camp, obviously, to sacrifice. But I always thought that was a neat thing to experience in boot camp, especially just like kind of a random Haitian in there doing his voodoo stuff.
Interesting. Okay, so you got a little bit of a first-hand account.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
No zombie stuff though.
Yeah, that's good. But let's dive a little deeper into these Haitian zombies and we get an idea of how possibly they are created. So here we go.
New York City.
The first thing you have to do when you even begin to try to understand a phenomenon like the Haitian zombie, which is just one thread woven through the fabric of this amazing culture, is to sort of eliminate
surprisingly from New York. I'm just kidding.
In 1982, Harvard ethnobotanist Wade Davis traveled to Port-au-Prince to investigate the biological underpinnings of the Haitian zombie. As early as 1938, Zora Neale Hurston found there was a voodoo potion that could induce a death-like state though she concluded the ingredients were so guarded, no sorcerer would ever reveal them. Wade Davis did what Hurston thought impossible, and over the course of 4 years, he gained the trust of several voodoo sorcerers, uncovering the ingredients of the secret potion and documenting his experience in the 1985 bestseller, The Serpent and the Rainbow.
This journalist kind of looks like a zombie
Though
himself.
Davis is quick to say he's not a
Oh, can you
zombie,
pause it real quick?
he's still considered the world's leading authority on the Haitian zombie.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, since this is from like a different like Vice, right? It's from Vice.
Right.
Like if we play it without pausing it, we might get hit on YouTube. So need to
Okay.
like, I don't know how long you're planning to play it, but might need to like break it up a little bit just so it doesn't like trip us, you know.
Sure. This will be
Yeah,
a
I'll cut
couple-
this out. Yeah, just
There'll be a couple minutes we can kind of
Yeah,
talk
just-
about it.
yeah, okay.
Now, what is a zombie? A zombie, by folk belief, is a living dead. It's an individual who has been brought to his demise by sorcery, passed through the grave, or at least passed through a kind of a state of death, and then somehow magically resuscitated. Zombies were almost deemed to be off limits for serious academic research. But Lamarck Douillon had found this really extraordinary case of this man called Clarius Narcisse.
If you're a man who makes at least 150
Well, there's a pause right there. We had
All
an ad.
right.
grand a year and you're still embarrassed to take your shirt off at the pool, I will.
What made the case
Any thoughts so far, or you want to keep?
Oh
on
no,
going?
it's you know, the potion thing is interesting, like the specific potion to make a zombie, but I'm sure they'll talk about that a little bit more.
Mhm.
I guess.
unique is that Narcisse had been pronounced dead in the Schweitzer hospital, and his death had been witnessed by two physicians, both American trained, one an American. There were impeccable records describing his pathology at the time of his demise. 18 years later, this man claiming to be Clarius Narcisse turns up in his home village, claiming that he'd been made a zombie. All these lines of evidence led Lamarck Douillon to go public in about 1980-81, saying that they had found the first medically verifiable instance of a zombie. That kind of opening brought everybody back to a series of reports that had existed in the folk literature of the reputed existence of a folk poison that was said to bring on a state of apparent death so profound that it could fool a physician.
It's interesting. I didn't expect this going into it. I thought it was going to be more folklorish, more, mystical with this guy from Vice, and we're appreciative that we can use this. But they go into kind of a science background into this, and it's interesting that like possibly just mix of certain materials or certain chemicals, what have you, can kind of put you in a deep sleep.
Sure, yeah.
Marc Douillon had tried for some time to secure the formula of that preparation to no avail, and that's why I was sort of brought into the investigation. Schultes, my professor, the man who sparked the psychedelic movement, he was very much my mentor. I was working in the Amazon, and one day
he was looking for spiders when he was in the Amazon with my mom.
There we go. So yeah, that's kind of like a little segment into that.
So like a real life zombie, confirmed, I guess, or thought of by the medical physicians at the time, pronouncing someone clinically dead, and then they show up later and they're fully alive. That's the story, right?
Yeah. I don't know if you've heard anything like that. Just kind of your pursuits of the weird. I don't know.
I mean, I think I've heard of that case a little bit. But it is interesting, like people being pronounced dead and then not really being dead. I know that used to happen, and this was that story. Was this in the 80s? Was that what it was, or early 80s? Or it happened in the 70s, and they talked about it. Like that is interesting because, like, I know way back in the day they used to pronounce people dead sometimes, and they weren't dead. like back in like like the 1600s, 1700s, something like that. And that's they used to have like little bells on the coffins in case you got buried alive, and you would ring it
Right.
and be like, "Hey, I'm not really dead," you
Yeah.
know.
Help.
So like stuff like that. Like I guess you could encounter things that would slow your heartbeat down so low that you'd still be alive, but you're just kind of like in a coma or something, I guess.
Yep. Yep. There could be like certain things you digest that put you in that state, and that's accurate. That people have like woken up before. God, how many people have woken up and they couldn't get out? I mean, that's a good thing. You had those
Back before they
bells
had bells, yeah.
back before they had bells.
Bell technology saving
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah. Are you into the whole zombie craze? I know it was really big with like Walking Dead and all that, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who like zombies.
Yeah, I mean, for me, as far as like movie monsters go, like zombies are just they're kind of boring to me. Like I don't find them that interesting, and I don't find them like credible as like a monster. They're not that scary because they typically walk kind of slow and they don't really think. So it's just like, hey, you can't outmaneuver this thing. Like it seems pretty easy. That's just me, I guess. I'm not. There's other monsters I prefer, but real life zombie cases though are interesting.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I never really understood it. Some of the content that comes out, Walking Dead, other movies, kind of fun, but some people like they really believe there's going to be a zombie apocalypse. I'm like,
yeah,
I
think the concept of a zombie is interesting from a standpoint of like in nature. I know there's like fungus and stuff like that can infect some species of animals, like ants,
Right.
and it'll get into their brain, and then essentially it's controlling the ant, and the ant will go like climb up on something and explode, and then it'll release the spores out there. From that standpoint, so well, if it could happen with an ant, surely there's a fungus out there undiscovered or lying dormant that could potentially do that to a human. Gets in your brain, just makes you kind of be a zombie and walk around. From that standpoint, I think is interesting for zombies. And I do, I like to write stories sometimes, Zane. You've experienced this. I have some stories that kind of have like a zombie like thread in them that I think is a little bit different than what the traditional American movie zombies are, more closer to this Haitian story here of the zombie of like kind of being enslaved and made to work and stuff like that. It's really more like a golem almost. It turns you into a golem, that phrase, right?
Kind of. I mean, obviously I'm thinking more so like Lord of the Rings, but I know there is like kind of that cryptid golem. So yeah, explain it real quick.
It's kind of like you make a creature using magic or something, say like out of mud, and it's there to do your bidding. And it's just like a living, it's not really alive, but it's like magically alive, I guess. And it does whatever you tell it. It's almost kind of like a robot, but it's like organic, or a creature that you make. It could take various forms,
like mud or like kind of like a rock monster type thing.
Yeah.
Whatever you want, I guess.
Yeah. It's tied to the will of the creator. And that's what a lot of like the traditional Haitian zombie folklore seems like. It's more like you're a human golem almost, which I think is a more interesting concept.
Yeah. Well, that's the Haitian golem. We're going to go into
zombie.
Yes. Haitian zombie. Yes. We're going to go into another creature that's pretty interesting. Definitely different though. All right. So this is the Siguapa.
Okay.
It's a siren like demon. And so La Ziguapa is part of the ancient Dominican folklore, disguised as a beautiful, sultry woman, very similar to what you commonly think of sirens who kind of woo sailors to their death. They're usually almost like mermaid type creatures. They have a beautiful voice, and the whole myth is that they'll woo sailors to come closer, and then they'll drag them to the depths. So I think it's a pretty similar creature here. Yeah, but it's kind of different though, because they're not like out in the water. They're in the woods. And basically they'll lure lonely men and boys out into the woods to feast on their bodies and trap their souls forever.
So they're not associated with water, or they're like water in the forest, like lakes and ponds, or just in the woods?
I think they're just in the woods.
Okay. Why is her feet are backwards?
I'm trying to remember if it goes into this or not. So it says that once a man lays eyes on this creature, he's entranced and will follow her deep into the woods and back to her lair. And this is why. And this actually is another common thing with a couple other creatures. This creature's feet face backwards, making her harder to track.
Okay.
So that's the reason why.
That would make it hard.
She basically comes out at night, which would also make it hard for her to track. She's considered like an omen, just like death. She can't really hear her or see her. She just kind of comes out of nowhere. Can't look in her eyes, kind of like Medusa, or won't be turned into stone, but she will instantly enslave you.
Like a tractor beam.
Like a tractor beam. And so this is another myth, urban legend that is told to children in these regions. Don't go into the woods at night, obey your parents, or la ciguapa is going to get you.
Okay. So that's kind of interesting creature here. It seems like it combines some similar traits with other kind of folklorish type of creatures, like will-o'-the-wisps and stuff like that, like those lights that call you further into the swamps and forests, and it just pulls you away from your trail. And the backward feet thing is interesting because I know there's other cultures that have creatures that have like backwards feet. I think South America has some humanoid cryptid thing that they say has backwards feet, but it's more like Bigfoot, but backwards feet. Just that's why it's hard to find, because you walk the wrong way to looking for it or stuff. But yeah, this is interesting. More like a siren of the woods. It's kind of fascinating.
I wonder. It's making me think, because I like to watch horror movies occasionally when I can. I wonder if this type of creature has been featured yet, because that would be. I can see it being this would be a scary one. The whole backwards feet thing is very creepy. You've seen just movies with like long-haired, creepy female type creatures. Those are always scary. So
girls, they'll get you, man.
Yeah, they always do.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Hollywood's so boring because they always try to take kind of what we already know and just do the same things over and over again, or they do stuff which I find very offensive. They do like race swapping of stuff, which I hate, like European tales or whatever like that. It's like there is so much great cultural things out there, from the Caribbean, Africa, Asia. Like, do something with that. There's plenty out there, and like you were saying, this would make an awesome horror movie or, creature feature type of thing. Like, just be original and take one of these things, because these are something that most people haven't even heard about, at least, in America.
Right. I think a lot of people have heard like kind of the siren story, but this is a little different. And so, just do that. But yeah, Hollywood is just lazy and they want the quickest way to make money, especially these days. So,
you wonder, like they said, this was Dominica.
I believe it's in Dominica, not the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
But yeah.
Like, I wonder, because that's a very small island. And there's not, it's forest, there's rainforest and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like, what was in the forest there that they wouldn't want people going into the forest at night? If this was like a tale, like a boogeyman type thing to scare kids out of, like what was there? Because I don't think they really have large creatures on that island that would hurt you.
Maybe it was just
bad people hung out in the woods at night,
or just like, I've been fortunate enough to actually visit Dominica, and I hiked through the rainforest, not at night, but maybe it's just like to tell kids, hey, you can easily get lost in these woods and it's hard to get back. So
yeah, it's kind of mountainous, right?
Yeah. Yeah, very
Okay, so
obvious.
maybe like fall over a cliff or something at night. It's easier.
Yeah, easy to trip. So
Okay, that makes more sense.
like it's not easy to navigate. Like I hiked on, this long trail there, and I, slipped, hit something, and my water bottle, which was on my backpack, cracked against a rock behind me.
Mm.
And the guide got so terrified that I cracked my head open, but thankfully I was fine. But he like looked like he saw a ghost. He was like, "Oh crap!" Like one of our guests, what have you, just shattered his head in the middle of a hike in the rainforest. So
we were going to turn into something.
Yeah. So
okay.
Interesting story there. Kind of one of the creepier ones. I can see the movie in my head. This would be a good monster movie.
Yeah.
Well, we have a little bit more of a mischievous monster coming up here.
Okay. Oh.
So this guy is called the Baku. And now we're exploring the region of Guyana. Not sure if I'm saying that right. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Baku is a spirit in the form of a mischievous little man that resides in a cork bottle. Though not inherently evil, the Baku is controlled by evil dwellers and requires a lot of milk and bananas to keep him happy. So, maybe that's something you got to do, kind of like that Jamaican woman, obviously a different island, but maybe bananas are important on keeping these creatures at bay. Let's see. If fed well, the Baku will reward his owner with wealth and good tidings. It's almost kind of like a leprechaun type thing going on. But if he's undernourished, he will wreak havoc and attempt to harm whoever keeps him. And though now many believe that Baku is a myth, locals will still occasionally throw an empty wine bottle of a cork in the river just in case a Baku is living in it so he can find his little home. So
did you say this is in Guyana?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's on the South American continent, more so the country. Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Not in the Caribbean, but it's on the Caribbean. So yeah, it would be considered
so close to it, or if not, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it borders it. So I mean, all that culture would be considered Caribbean, I think. Yeah, Guyana. Yeah, this thing's weird looking. It's like it got a big old head.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what that was in its mouth at first. I was like, okay, banana. Yes,
it's a banana.
And okay, you said it lives in a bottle.
Yeah, that's where it resides, his little home. And yeah, if you give him little coins, milk, bananas, he can kind of serve you well and maybe kind of help you find riches and all that. But if you piss him off, he's got a little evil side to him as well. And I think he's just a little imp creature that's I think he typically is like the little imp like soldier for more evil spirits and stuff like that. But
okay, but he has a friendly streak if you give him what he wants and stuff. So okay, and there's kind of like house elfy type of thing with it. Are they described always with big heads? Is that or is that just the picture description of this?
I think that's just the picture, but
okay, because it kind of made me think of like the Olmec heads almost from
Oh yeah.
I was like, I wonder if that's tied to it, but maybe not. I'm just reading too much into it, but it does look like a little golem-y creature from Lord of the Rings.
So not the worst creature that we've encountered so far in our Caribbean journey, but it would be kind of freaky to encounter, especially if it looked like this.
Yeah, if it popped out of a bottle, I definitely have some questions.
Yeah. This seems
a banana man.
A lot of our creatures we've talked about are pretty far-fetched, but this one seems the most far-fetched, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends on how much you buy into the concept of those elf type creatures, those, fae folks, which I would kind of lump this into, that sort of thing. Maybe they're other dimensional type of creatures and they just show up and, hey, I can help you.
That laugh sounds like he would have that laugh. So
yeah.
Well, going back into the creepy, we're back
Ah.
to the evil heart man.
Okay.
So this guy, he hails from the Barbados. This Caribbean mythical creature has been passed on from generation to generation as one of the creepiest, most menacing creatures. The Heartman is often used to scare children, so a regular theme here into behaving, because the legend states that the creature comes after disobedient kids. He carves out their hearts, feeding them to the devil. So that's
Feeds the kids' hearts to the devil.
pretty intense. So
Okay.
this guy might be maybe the scarier of these Caribbean folklore creatures. I don't know.
Boogeyman on steroids there.
Yeah. So,
So he has like a skull face
mhm.
and an open wound in his chest. Is that
I guess he does. Maybe
put out his own heart?
carved out his own heart. Yeah.
Did it say what the kids have to do to get this guy to come after him? Or is it just like you don't eat your vegetables and he's coming after you? Or you do something specific?
It didn't say anything specific.
Okay.
So I would hope that, like, if you stayed up 2 hours past your curfew, you want to have the heart man coming after your freaking heart. So
No, that would be terrifying.
yeah, maybe it's very strict in the Barbados. I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Or I guess they don't have a lot of delinquents running around past their curfew because of this guy.
Maybe I would hope so.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of pictured skeletal, as you can see here, but he has cow legs. So kind of going back
Cow
to
legs, okay.
the rolling calf. He's dressed in all black with chains. He has some weapons and a huge black cat. So I mean, he doesn't have a hat here, I don't think, but you've probably seen that image before of like the heart man, sometimes in kind of Cajun voodoo culture.
Okay, yeah.
So very, very similar. Maybe not necessarily the same mythological creature, but similar.
Similar look, yeah, with the skull face and the hat. I forgot what that particular image with the hat. It's called Papa Shango, or I don't know. I'm not up on my voodoo, obviously, but yeah, I can see that. That's interesting. He has cow legs, and the rolling calf you said can be depicted as half man, half cow.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like their top half would be cow and their bottom half would be the man part. So this one's kind of flipped.
Right. So a little similar, both scary. So very interesting. Let's pause real quick.
Okay.
My colleague is calling me.
Okay. Pause. All right. Recording resumed.
And also, so besides, black hat, weapons, chains, dressed in all black, skull, the Hartman signature is also a black hearse he drives around. He will frequent churches and parishes, sometimes giving candy to children to trick them into getting close enough for him to attack and take their heart away. So that the whole hearse thing, that kind of reminds me of the whole kind of Cajun culture to the voodoo culture. I feel like I've seen that before, especially with like the top hat guy.
Yeah.
So very similar. I'm just, I'm sure in New Orleans, this type of, these myths have kind of crept up there as people have come to the United States. So very interesting and, very creepy. And again, this is something you can definitely scare your kids with into behaving.
And it also the strangers with candy trope that
well,
it's not really a trope, but it's like don't take candy from strangers. It's also a good lesson tied into that as well.
I feel like as a kid though, doesn't sound like he's shape-shifting into some nice looking jolly man. Looks like he's coming up straight to you looking like this in a hearse. Here, take my candy. Like, I don't know. If I was a kid, I would run away.
It's like, now I know, Mom, you said I couldn't take candy from this guy, but could I take tostones, perhaps?
Yeah.
Or some kind of plantain from him.
Yeah.
Cool Runnings. Hey, kids, you want to come in my van and watch Cool Runnings?
That might get me because I freaking love that movie as a kid. So
Zane was abducted 33 times as a child.
And I have no heart.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Maybe that's what happened to me too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to to kind of cap things off,
Yeah.
speaking of children, here is our final Caribbean folklore creature.
Okay. Oh my.
So interesting. So we got the Duin. These are one of the more popular creatures in Caribbean folklore. They are from Trinidad and Tobago region. These creatures originate from West African storytelling. So kind of going back to how all these different creatures and stories originated from Africa and made it over to the Caribbean. The Duin is a small creature embodying the soul of an unbaptized child who has died and now eternally wanders around in the forest. The child wears a large straw hat to hide his featureless face, and his feet are backwards, just like the Siguapa. And this is to kind of prevent anyone from tracking them. So interesting, similar parallel right there. And so it's hard to track them. They're usually very tiny. Obviously, these are really, essentially babies, I guess. And these the drawing right here makes them look, a little bit older. But obviously, you don't have to be baptized just as a kid or not baptized, or as a baby. But they're usually not threatening by appearance. They can be threatening with their intentions, though. So another thing is they want to bring more unbaptized children into the forest to kind of grow their whole group.
Okay.
So I think they kind of go around stealing kids, hoping that they're unbaptized.
Not baptized. That's, I guess, encourages parents to get their kids baptized early.
Right.
I know in Catholicism, that's a big deal, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of like purgatory again, I guess. Just like if you don't baptize your kid, it's going to be wandering forever as an unbaptized, faceless spirit of the forest, I guess. What did they try to do in the forest? I mean, what are they doing in there? Did it mention like are they building like a society, or they're just looking for more babies? That's
just looking for more, just baby. Their purpose, all their purpose is to
get more babies.
Get more babies. And this is interesting right here. If you're with your child and you're in an open area kind of near the forest, you're never really supposed to call their name, for the Duin might be able to hear this and start calling them as well.
Okay.
Leading them astray into the forest where they, might be lost forever. So kind of creepy.
Yeah, I know that's a thing too, is like not giving real names, or knowing something's name or someone's name gives you power over them. I know that's a cultural thread in many places. But the calling into the forest again, like the Siren Lady, and almost kind of like the Pukwudgie of North America. I think more so in the Northeast, is a forest type creature that calls you into the forest and keeps calling your name and until you get lost and you're just out there, But that's creepy. This I think would make a really cool horror story too, like a faceless. Like kids are creepy as it is, but now you have like a faceless one with backwards feet, like and a hat.
You see, like, I don't know, they do a good job in Hollywood with like the creepy like kids in those horror movies. So this would be a good one. While I was like looking for like different interviews and stuff for all these different topics and different creatures, I think there are like low budget kind of movies maybe made out of like these regions from in the Caribbean, like little small productions where they kind of go into this. So that'd be kind of interesting to watch. Maybe some of them are pretty good.
Oh yeah, I have to check those out. And they don't have eyes and or a mouth, but they do call your name, I guess.
Yeah, maybe it's like some telepathic thing.
Yeah, that'd be freaky deaky, man. I wonder what the backwards foot thing though might be a call to, like. I guess like don't follow footsteps into the woods, right? Because it's backwards. Like, for us, it would be normal. Like, oh, there's some footsteps. Let me follow them. And they'd say, no, don't follow them because that takes you to where they lived, right? Or it'd be backwards. So you'd want to follow footsteps the opposite way, right? Yeah, so don't
Yeah.
follow footsteps into the no, because it'd be wait.
Well,
Yeah,
let's
don't
let's
follow
hit-
footsteps into the woods. That's where they're from. Follow the footsteps out. Because typically, if you lived on the edge of the forest, the footsteps would be facing your toes would be facing into the forest,
Mhm.
right? But they don't follow those footsteps because they belong to these backwards foot creatures, and if you get in there, you'll get lost. So stay out here where the heels are pointed toward the village. That
just stay away from the footsteps. That's
yeah, all footsteps in general. But yeah, I mean that would I mean I could see like where that would be beneficial for children growing up in those forested areas and stuff like that because people would wander into the forest to do whatever it is they're doing.
Mhm.
You don't want your kids following the footsteps in there, so it's like, hey, don't follow that because they're backwards and that's a creature that'll get you or something. But
right.
yeah, that would make sense. But yeah, that'd be creepy, man. A
Mm-hmm.
faceless child calling to you.
See,
No, thank
there's
you.
plenty of interesting topics and stories that Hollywood could explore here. These would be, yeah, no thanks. Let's see here. So, Josh, first of all, were you kind of familiar with any of these? I forget if you mentioned or yeah.
Yeah, the zombie ones, obviously very popular in America. So I've heard of that in that particular case with the gentleman who said he was a zombie. I think from the research that they did, they kind of determined that a lot of those people or the voodoo masters or whatever were using like blowfish toxin or something to kind of mimic death. Because like if you do it in a certain way and mix it with other things, then it can kind of make you look like you're dead clinically. But then I forgot how long it lasts. But then I guess when you come out of it, then they enslave you.
Right.
I'm not sure how that works, but yeah, that's really the only one I was familiar with. But all those other ones were really cool.
Mhm.
I think specifically, yeah, my favorite ones. I mean, you got to like. I think the siren one for me is very interesting, just because
I
like
agree.
it could like seeing a pretty lady in the woods, especially if you're a young, gentleman or whatever, and you're like, oh, hey, lady, what you doing? I gotcha.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. I think the mermaids and sirens and all that stuff is very interesting folklore, but all the other ones seem kind of to lean more so on boogeyman type tales to scare children. Not saying that they're, people didn't encounter them like the one lady from the first interview, seeing the was it the rolling calf. Yeah, it'd be interesting if there's any videos of these things.
I tried to find them, didn't really see any. But the only thing with her is like she didn't seem that bothered. Like she's like, I saw him, so maybe it was so long ago, or just the idea of them is so common in her like her life or her kind of like culture. It's just it's common. And
I guess like kind of like if you go to Australia or something, and there's like giant spiders that'll like kill you, but for them in Australia, they're like, it's no big deal. We see them all the time. Yeah, but if you saw them yourself, that would be terrifying. So yeah, I mean, it is interesting the concept of all these creatures seem a lot more tied to the spirit world in like these shapeshiftery type of entities that take on the form. I think that's something interesting to dive into, maybe like as far as theories go, like who or like what kind of entity is this that is like it shapes itself to your culture. Maybe it's like just what we would call maybe demons, and it just takes these forms in the Caribbean because that's what collectively is on their mind, so it takes those forms to kind of feed off their fear or whatever it is it does.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite one?
I agree with you. La Ciguapa, like the siren, that's intriguing, and the Duin. Those are probably the most like intriguing, intriguing monsters, I guess.
Do you think any of them, like if you had to put like which one could be, I guess, the most possible of being real, which one would you hang your hat on?
I would say like the Haitian zombies, because I can see that, you got some voodoo priest, you know, basically they figured out this toxin they were able to create, and you can put someone in a deep sleep, or the person kind of arises and is just like in this tripped out stupor and acts like a zombie. That one makes the most sense to me.
Okay, I think I might surprise you a little bit on this one from which one I think could be the most possible of being real. I'm going with Heartman. Is that what is it called?
Heartman.
Yeah,
Heartman, yes.
Heartman. Just because it seems to share similarities with things people see across cultures, like the Hat Man, shadow people type of thing. Again, if it's some kind of entity that just takes on the cultural form of what you're used to, I could see that being a thing because, wearing the hat, kind of like around shadows and death, seems like something that crosses cultures very easily and just a little bit different for the whatever flavor community it's, in. So that's what I would think.
He almost seems like kind of like the embodiment of death too. Like Grim Reaper type
Yeah,
thing.
Grim Reaper-y.
Yeah.
Yeah, just with a little bit different wrapper on it.
Yeah, exactly. It's based on the culture. And just like kind of thinking about this all in all, it's like most of these things are pretty dark. So, a lot of these myths stem from Bantu religion, which I didn't have a chance to look into too much, but it's just like this is a pretty dark religion and things that they pull from. So, I wonder if it stems from that, there's these people kind of maybe live through a hard life and like, things are kind of dark, or at least some segments of society do. So it's just interesting that.
You mean like because of like the slave trade and plantation culture and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking.
Yeah, I could see that. It'd be interesting, I guess, to explore maybe on a different episode a little bit more how that ties into New Orleans, because I know it draws a lot of similar type of motifs into it that the Caribbean shares. So it'd be interesting to kind of explore maybe how those are tied to things culturally down there, and how people lived as opposed to in the Caribbean.
Right. Well, do you have a Caribbean themed song for us about these spooky folklore creatures and myths?
No song. No, I'm just kidding. I have a song. Yeah. Yeah, I did have a song, and I think you'll know what it was influenced by when I play it here. So let me go ahead and pop that.
On a breezy island shore, waves that clap and skies that soar. Do you think Sebastian knows? Will he pinch us by the nose? Coconuts are falling down, hush the tales in every town. Will the monster made of sand turn your dreams to grain so grand? Legends of the land and sea, whispers drift like sugar-free. Witches in the palm tree night, stealing plantains out of sight. Who can tell what's myth or truth? Island stories since our youth. Do you dare to take a stand in the wilds of this bright land?
That's kind of that song, but
well,
I didn't know what kind of monsters and creatures you're going to go, because I'm not too familiar with the folklore down there. So I guess Sebastian the Crab.
Well, that was a nice, like, positive song to kind of like take us away from these dark creatures.
I was totally off with that one.
That's okay. I appreciated the Sebastian Little Mermaid reference, though.
Yeah, Sebastian, the Caribbean crab that pinches your nose off is very feared by children down there.
Very terrifying.
Yeah, and the coconut witch.
No creatures of sand that we saw.
Yeah, the sand creature. That'd be cool. Like, you think they have so much sand down there on those islands. Why isn't there a sand monster? Like, that would be terrifying and keep kids away from the ocean,
The sand is only a foil to these monsters. You just throw a bunch of sand and they have to count each grain. So,
yeah, okay. Maybe the beach is more positive than the forests, I suppose.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
Well, any more thoughts on these Caribbean folklores?
No, I liked it, and being from the Caribbean myself, it was very No, actually, I don't remember any folk tales from when I was a kid down there. But I do say often that my sister's a monster. So maybe
Okay.
when she hears this, she'll be like, ah, yes. And my dogs are also monsters.
Right. Well, I'm glad you escaped and you didn't get captured by any doing or anything. So,
Woo,
that loud.
doggins. The dog monsters, they don't have any hearts and they'll steal your soul.
Right. Well, we want to steal all your emails and your comments and your feedback. So, Josh, where can our loyal listeners find us?
Well, you can go to our website, obviously, telltaleguys.com. Send us an email at heyguys@telltaleguys.com. And, on the socials, Telltale Guys. You can find us there. And also, we're fine podcasts are listened to. The same thing. Guess what it is? It's Telltale Guys. So you can find us there on Apple Podcasts. Also on what's the big one? Spotify. Yeah, Spotify. I was going to say Stitcher, but they haven't been around for a while.
And remember to like us. Also to comment. That kind of creates things flowing for us, just with the whole algorithm and all the mathematics and all that. So that'd be great. And we would love to comment and have a conversation with you guys on our socials or YouTube or whatever.
Yeah, make sure. Yeah, if you share,
and follow.
Yeah, follow, and share. And even if you don't like us, share it anyways because somebody else might like it.
Yeah,
and that help us out.
And there's also like little notification bells you can click on each social, and it'll let you know if we have a new post.
All right, that's all for today.
All right, see you guys
later.
Bye.
Spirit ghost was in the night, run free. Chains kicking like a wild melody. Skeleton, hot man on the wicked prowl. Bad kids beware, he'll make you howl. Look out, monsters in the dark. Backward feet hiding, leaving their mark. Forest sirens singing oh so sweet. Trick them always stand at your feet. In the Caribbean shadows they play. Haunting whispers chase the light of day. Skeleton, hot man in the midnight mist. Bad kids beware, they may not exist. Look out, monsters in the dark. Backward feet hiding, leaving their mark. Forest sirens singing oh so sweet. Trick them always stand at your feet. Pussy bulls with their ghostly chains. Skeleton, hot man seeking all who remain. Monsters and sirens lurking in the gloom. Throw the sand to escape your doom. Lost in the forest but not for long. Sand in your pockets, throw it and they're gone. Skeleton, hot man fades into the night. Bad kids safe beneath the moon's light. In the Caribbean, shadows they play. Haunting whispers chase the light of day. Skeleton, hot man in the midnight mist. Bad kids beware, they may not exist. Look out, monsters in the dark. Backward feet hiding, leaving their mark. Forest sirens singing oh so sweet. Trick them always stand at your feet. In the Caribbean, shadows they play. Haunting whispers chase the light of day. Skeleton, hot man in the midnight mist. Bad kids beware, they may not exist. Look out, monsters in the dark. Backward feet hiding, leaving their mark. Forest sirens singing oh so sweet. Trick them always stand at your feet. Ghostly bulls with their ghostly chains. Skeleton, hot man seeking all who remain. Monsters and sirens lurking in the gloom. Throw the sand to escape your doom. Lost in the forest but not for long. Sand in your pockets, throw it and they're gone. Skeleton, hot man fades into the night. Bad kids safe beneath the moon's light.